You can expect mostly cloudy skies, high around 60, and that afternoon in the Coachella Valley, sunshine dominates. Highs are in the upper 60s. I'm forecaster Jimmy O'Neill for Smart Talk 1490 KMET.
That's right. It's the morning show here on ABC News Radio KMET 1490 AM. I'm Aaron Michael Sanchez. We got a lot of things for you. We got a lot of. You know what? It's probably the last time you see us for the year. This is the end of the year for us. I know around the corner we got 2023. I'm not gonna lie, it kind of snuck up on me. I'm not even ready for 2023. I know a lot of people usually make plans for that some people head out to some pretty cool places like East Coast. I don't know how New York's doing. I saw they're surviving over there as and yeah. So a lot of things going on. I know Jess over there is doing some things, but it's that time. And really, for our final broadcast of 2022, can't wait for 2023. Wonder what's going around the corner with that. Joel Prevo, everybody. Joel, welcome to the show.
It's good to be back. Good to see you.
Yeah, it's always one of those things where it's like, okay, are you ready for the new year? Are you ready? And we've been covering almost every other week with you. And again, shout out to your fam who obviously, you do what you do for. I'd like you to kind of talk, though, really quick about what you do with Prevo Partners and why it's so important. I remember meeting you a few years back over in Arizona, and I was at a speaking engagement, and then your lady over there, she was part of, one of the many people that were learning a lot of stuff about publicity and about, just things. And then we connected, I remember, and then we were we've been like in several ever since, because we had an idea like, okay, you can market this way, you can market that way, and you guys give people the idea of how to market. Can you talk about that?
Yes, we do a variety of things. So the core of our business is really around public relations and marketing. I have a marketing undergrad. My wife is a PR pro and has been doing that for many years. And so we work together, and we both have a strong background in healthcare too. So that ends up being a market that we work closely with. But everything from just traditional public relations, media relations type help to helping bridge the gap with tech solutions and oftentimes healthcare industry, but really anywhere, for finding ways for them to mesh. So with my background, I was an operator in healthcare. I'm often able to help tech solutions find their way into the healthcare industry just through good strategy and good business processes to make connections in the industry and get their product in the right hands. And then vice versa, sometimes healthcare operators look to me to say what's out there. And so I'm currently working on a project, for example, with senior market in Minnesota to try to bring vetted solutions to the senior market, because that's an industry that's struggling, like many, for staffing purposes. And so they need as much efficiency as they can find so they can make the most of the caregivers they have, so those caregivers are giving care and not doing mundane tasks. So finding that sweet spot of how can you eliminate those mundane tasks. So that's just an example, but we do a lot of traditional PR work and helping people build their thought leadership. It's a wide variety of things. Essentially, we work like a boutique agency, but we're just the two of us, and we really enjoy what we're doing. It's been a lot of fun.
Well, I will say this. I have another friend who he and his wife, they moved out from LA when coronavirus hit. Probably the smartest move for them. And they do it as a team, and they have some big clients, but they do it with all their connection, and they're very dependable, kind of like you. And I know, you and your, I'll say team, right, which is always a fam, right? You go next level, and you always have that thought of how can we take care of people, because of course the healthcare background that you have, which is very like, not every, I've met a lot of publicists in the work that we do, and not a lot of people could tackle that industry because it's very fine in what it is. You got to go with strategy. You got to go with, okay, how do we get out there? How do we get the word out there? How do we do all that? And one of the devices here I see as a potential, I'm not sure how much it is, but it looks pretty interesting. And in the photo that I'm going to show, there's a man, but don't focus on the man. It's almost like a piece of furniture in the, like, it's very subtle in all of the pictures that we got about this company. But can you talk about it? What does it do?
Yeah, it's called Labrador, and it's a robot that you're probably going to see some of this in unveiled at CES this year. But robotics are going to be a big market that's I think going to grow, and in healthcare specifically, we saw some of this pop up during the pandemic, and now it's getting fine tuned, and there's more of this coming out. But this Labrador is essentially looks almost like an end table in your house. So it's not like this crazy looking robot, right? So it would really blend in a lot of ways, and could just look like something that's parked at the end of your couch and could just be an end table. But it moves autonomously through the house, and it essentially just serves as an extra set of hands. So I appreciate robots like this, the concept of things like this that aren't trying to do too much, because when they think, oh, they're going to do all this stuff for you, right? Oftentimes that just doesn't work. So in this case, it could just double as a second set of hands. So let's say it's challenging for someone who lives at home for whatever reason to be, moving things about their house. In the picture, there's a little stack, a couple of books on there, and some tea, and a few things. Well, if you could have an extra set of hands that wheels that to your kitchen so that you can put the dishes in the dishwasher, or wheels that to your bedroom so you can take your book to bed, and you want to bring your other devices and your iPad or whatever, it just would move things around the house. It also moves up and down, so if it's something that while you're seated you can reach it easily, and then when you stand up it'll go up so you can reach it easily when you're putting things in the sink or whatever. Just a kind of a simple yet elegant way to bring robotics to the home, to take away a task that for someone who's able-bodied might say, oh, that's just, I don't need that. Well, you probably don't. But in some cases, someone with a disability, or for some of the examples they have on their website, people who are living with MS or other ailments that can inhibit their ability to do things, sometimes just intermittently. When they have like a flare-up, they would have this robot that could help them through that process, and their activities of daily life, and avoid further care, right? It's those little conveniences that then become a bigger deal when you can't do things. So I really think this is a lot of potential. And as I mentioned, the project I'm doing for senior care in Minnesota, robotics are a big part of that conversation, because they're really looking for some cutting edge solutions. And robotics made their way into dining rooms in long-term care because they were so short-staffed. It was really challenging. And in some cases, they were able to incorporate just food delivery through robotics that really helped them with their staffing. And so that's something that continues to be explored. And this is a great example. I think it's going to make a splash at CES, and it looks really, really great.
Well, okay, so if I may,
Yeah.
we're living in the mode of every single movie. I have a story that's coming out. It's a comic, actually, about this, about the future of where robotics are going. But we've been talking robotics for the last, 60, 80 years, and what's the potential? And I will say this is how it starts, man. But I will say I get it. Like, I saw every single movie when I think, like, where they go extreme, right? Where the robot gets taken over, or it starts like the one that's innocent in iRobot. He's innocent, but he's framed, right? And you're like, what does he do at the end? And that shot at the end is based on a story. It's a short story, but it's based on he goes with the other robots that are like taken advantage of, right? But those are ones that have like a conscious mind in a way, meaning that they're constantly learning, meaning that they're constantly thinking in some way. That's kind of like us as human. I say try to stay away from that, because you don't want a thinking thing other than you. But it's called self-learning. Like with Alexa and with other things that are interconnected, I always have a question. But I see why this is a thing. And in some of those films, here's what I'm saying, and I'm trying to make sense to people. We're living, we thought, okay, 2000, we kind of didn't hit the mark. Now we're hitting the 2020, like I'll say the 2030 age, where robotics have gone the next level to where you said this is almost necessary in some of these, and I get it. You mentioned like flare-ups like with people with MS. I think of people like with muscular dystrophy. I think of people that really need an assistant in a way. And like you said, this doesn't really do anything for you except it follows you around, makes sure you're okay, and even can kind of stabilize in the way like this picture with him with the cane can stabilize you in a way by being right next to you and or maybe call an emergency if you need to. I think this is the way of robotics, and this is why a lot of people are going to get this for their parent, especially if they want to. Like, I don't know that they're going to be in a place with this, but like you're talking about, there are ways to safely get food to people. There's a McDonald's that we talked about recently that actually now has all robotics. I forgot what state it was in. I know, Jesse, you know that we were talking about. And then up north, I don't know if you heard this. And again, I'm not trying to like get rid of this idea. Again, this is a necessary thing. This is why I like it. This is why I say there are obvious, like I get every single movie that said, okay, this is the extreme side of it. What can we do to not get there? Like AI or the little boy robot for a person who doesn't have the ability to have a child, but they want, this thing to love them, but then it survives. You know what I mean? Like, do I want to see this thing in a dump? No, especially if it's like, hello, hello, hello. You know what I mean? There's so many movies on the subject. I'm just saying, like, this is where we're at. It's cool. It's great, but I'm like, what next? Are you going to abandon it when it doesn't help you out? You know what I mean? Because these things can stay kind of like in a long way. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think it all comes down to what the purpose, right? What's the purpose of the robotics? For example, I have a Roomba in my house to clean the floor. It does a basic task that just saves us from doing some sweeping. It's purely for convenience for us. For others, it could be a game changer because sweeping or vacuuming is too challenging, and they don't have the money to pay for maid service on a regular basis, just as an example. And in this case, at least this example, it's really just an extra set of hands. Now, it can go extreme, right? All these things. We have AI in our house with these smart speakers. I have them all over the place. And people see slippery slope with a lot of those things. When you look at this Labrador, the Labrador Retriever, they're calling it, which I think is clever. It's really just a way to move things about your house. Now, that could be like the examples I shared, simply just moving dishes from one room to the other because that's a challenge, maybe because of people's dexterity or strength. But then when you mention safety, a person could say, look, I need to be able to call for assistance if something happens. And if my smart speaker that I might be able to voice to is over in the other room, it's not going to hear me. So if that thing follows me, or I can, program it to move about the rooms that I need or whatever, you could put your device on that, right? You could have an iPad on there. You could have a different smart speaker on there that stays on that product. So you could be combining bots in a sense, instead of buying this all in one thing, if that meets your needs. But if nothing else, you're just buying a little movable desk essentially to serve you in a certain way. But yeah, I mean, all things have a slippery slope, and I think we have to be aware of that. We have to pay attention, and I think the tech industry, you always have someone going the extreme, but you also have an industry that understands that's a fear people have, and so hopefully they're continuing to acknowledge that in their design and in the purpose of these products. I listen to a lot of these tech podcasts and discussions, and there's some argument to say if we always stop producing or reiterating things because of the fear for slippery slope, nothing gets produced. If you look at the negativity with smartphones and with social media that you can see very front and center, we would have never developed any of that because someone would say, see, this is what can happen. But there's so much other good, of course, that has happened with it as well. So it comes down to finding that balance, and as an individual, adopting things and really understanding the specific purpose that you're getting them. I love the fun gadgets, but I don't have all of them because they don't all have a place in my life. But researching and vetting things to really understand what they're going to do is important for all of us, whether it's at home or it's for healthcare purposes or just for fun.
Yeah, and I'm not going to lie. That's why I say to people, we're already in the future of what we thought was all these things like these science fiction films and those that like those films, there's some people that don't, but I'm like, they were ahead of what was coming. That's why like Star Trek and some of those other things that you think, oh, they're hokey. In a way, no. Like, they saw technology where it was going to go, even though it wasn't there yet. And so now they're making it a thing. You know what I mean? So I say, like, you can be ahead, and then it goes to the what do you not do? Like, I think the one of the good movies, there's Blade Runner, obviously, both the original and the new one, which talk about where it goes eventually because they can live past you. So what happens when they form a bond, and then they go, you know what, human, do us wrong. That's I think the thing of like iRobot, they're always assisting. There's always an assistant. So I say get it. Just remember, like, you know, and back to this, I'm for it, especially the one in the wheelchair, because you need that assistant, like, to help, like a Labrador, right? Like a dog. A dog can do so much, and they can like help you out. This thing to follow you, like in a home, to be kind of like with you. And maybe can monitor you, maybe your levels or something. It's almost like a caretaker in a way, which would help maybe a nurse or someone, like, okay, you know, or you tap into someone, like, I don't know, someone that can monitor you daily. You know what I mean? I think there's a way to make it safe. I just say at some point, there's always this, what's going to happen in the future when they're all talking to each other. People know that is like foo-foo, they say, but I say, but here we are, we have robots that can walk. You could attach a missile to it. What prevents it from going to war for the U.S. and or Russia? You know what I mean? At what point are we there? We're already there, technically. So, and then they connect with the satellite system out in space, and now you have, you know what I mean? So it is a slope. I just say, with the way humanity is going right now, I don't know that we're there. So I feel sorry for the robot that's like, don't turn me off. You know what I mean? Or please don't hurt me. You know what I mean? That, because they always had, in a way, like human, don't want to be dead. And when they're aware in that way, don't turn me off. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, that's where we go. And that's where we got to be careful. So I have this whole story about it. Anyway, it's just one of those things. They've been warning for time, but people thought that these novelists and these futurists and all these technology experts were just kind of like making a fun film, but I go, no, it's real, it's here, you know?
Yeah, no, there's a ton of predictions or you know, almost futurist type mindset that played into these different movies and shows. I mean, I feel like a Jetson every day in a lot of ways with all the stuff at our fingertips.
And now they have Jetson cars, right? Okay, we're going to take a quick break. We got some other devices to talk about, but I do love that you're saying, look, we have this thing that can roll around with you. I would like a face on it, not going to lie, all right? I would probably have one for my mom if she needed it. Thankfully, she doesn't. But if she needed it, I'd be like, Ma, you're going to get one. Do you know how much they are by chance?
I don't. That's that thing. I'm actually going to reach out to them because I think they have a place in some of the research I'm doing. But yeah, I think there's varying costs because they talk both in the home and for caregivers. So I can come back on that for a future conversation.
Please do, and please, I've been telling. Jess wants to do the implant that Musk, like Elon, is throwing out there. I go, don't. It could be hackable. I don't want anything attached to my brain. Don't upload yourself to the net. Okay, man. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back with more right after this. Stay tuned.
Football season is back, and every Monday night, the Two Coot Lounge at the Yamava Resort and Casino in San Manuel is where you need to be. Come cheer on your favorite team and become a Club Serrano member for your chance to win incredible prizes, enjoy food and drink specials, and be entertained by the 66ers dance team. It's the Monday Night Pigskin Party at the Two Coot Lounge at the brand new Yamava Resort and Casino in San Manuel in Highland, California. Rep your team, and we'll see you there this Monday.
Join West Coast Business Review with Daryl McCants each Wednesday afternoon at 4 o'clock p.m. Daryl focuses on successful businesses from California's southern border to Canada, including the great border states of Arizona and Nevada. Every week, Daryl provides in-depth discussions and interviews with prominent leaders and innovators that makes all of our lives better and more productive. West Coast Business Review with Daryl McCants, Wednesdays at 4 o'clock p.m. right here on Smart Talk Radio.
For all you truck and RV enthusiasts, TruckWorks right here in Banning is your one-stop shop for the best diesel performance and overall truck and RV needs. Whether you're towing, racing, off-road, or just cruising around town, TruckWorks specializes in truck and RV service, maintenance, repair, and performance upgrades for every light and medium-duty truck manufacturer. Bring it down to Terry and the guys at TruckWorks. Call 951-922-4776 or visit their website at mydieseldown.com today.
Are you paying rent because you think you cannot afford to live in your dream home? Are you renting because you don't believe that you have the down payment funds to purchase your own home? The Siegel Lending team at ronismylender.com has up to $25,000 to help qualified people purchase their own home at amazing interest rates. Contact the Siegel Lending team today at ronismylender.com. Again, ronismylender.com, license under NMLS 217037. ronismylender.com.
We're in the studio with Fred Penny, managing attorney with Penny and Associates Injury Lawyers. Fred, tell us what makes you the #1 choice for handling personal injury cases.
Most of our firm is made up of former insurance company trial lawyers with extensive experience handling all types of personal injury matters. We believe that gives us a distinct advantage.
That's Penny and Associates Injury Lawyers with locations throughout California. For a free consultation, go to pennyandassociates.com or call 1-800-616-4-LAW. That's 1-800-616-4-LAW.
You're running out of letterhead. What do? Lithopass Printing. You need business cards. Now what? Lithopass Printing. Invitations to a wedding? Lithopass Printing in Banning is the answer. Lithopass Printing can provide banners, signs, and blueprints. Think of Lithopass Printing in Banning for quality graduation, birthday party, and baby shower invitations. Lithopass Printing also provides lamination, faxing, and photo prints. If you need it inked, make it Lithopass Printing. Lithopass Printing in Banning.
That's right. It's the morning show here on ABC News Radio, KMET, 1490 AM. We got Joel Prevo Partners. Joel, I know there's something that kind of is a thing, and when it comes to like losing something, you kind of want to have it. I know there's a lot of talk about do's or do nots, because lately we've had some in the news where there are people tracking other people and then other like safeguards for that. But I say there's a place for it because sometimes people lose things, including me. So what do you got?
Yeah, so most people have heard about Tile is one, and then of course the AirTag through Apple that you can attach to things. There's a new one in the market that is kind of making a splash. It's called Chipolo, and they do a very similar thing in terms of having little tags for your keys and that kind of thing. But they also have a wallet finder, so it's slim and it can fit into your wallet. Tile has a very similar product. I actually have it in my wallet. But this one is interesting because they have a line of their products. If it's Chipolo Card Spot, so when they put the word Spot on there, that line of their products is compatible with Apple Find My. So it basically works like an AirTag, and you can find it through the Find My feature with your Apple products. So that's kind of a game changer as far as the market goes, because otherwise, Apple's very proprietary about their stuff. So to have a third-party product that works in conjunction with Apple's network makes them a real player right out of the gate. So that's an interesting feature. So it slides into your wallet. You could find it through the Find My feature on your iPhone or your iPad. And I find this stuff to be really handy. I know, again, we talked about slippery slope stuff with robots. There's some of that has come true with these little finding gadgets, right? Like the AirTags, and people using them in not positive ways with stalking and different stuff. So you need to be aware of the do's and don'ts with these. For example, AirTags, just, if you haven't read about this, heard about this, the fear is people could put an AirTag, on your car or in your pocket, and then they would be able to track you. So the important thing is, if you have Apple products, there is a feature with those that you will get an alert that says there's an AirTag traveling with you, essentially, that it can recognize it's there. It's not your AirTag, that kind of thing. And once you know that, there are some steps you can take then to get rid of it and that sort of thing. So I won't, carry on all throughout the show here, but you can read about that, and there are some things you can do to protect yourself. But on the real purpose of all these devices is just to find stuff.
Oh yeah.
I have tiles on my keys. I have tiles on my water bottle because they lose it around the house. I have it on my remotes because it slides in the cushions, and then I can ring, hit the ringer. People use them on their bikes. So if your bike gets stolen, you have a chance to find them. There's a lot of good reasons, but yes, you need to be aware of what you're buying. This one's cool because it works with Apple, and anytime somebody can get into that network, they have a millions and millions of potential users.
Yeah, and I did research on this because I'm not gonna lie, I was like traveling, right? And I was at this area, I'll just say it very briefly, like in a way I was like, okay, is it going to be a thing? Because there were certain people watching my vehicle, and I'm like, I don't know if I'm gonna have a vehicle in the morning. They looked a little suspicious, right? There were some things happening in the area. I'm like, so I went over and I went to Target, right? And I got the AirTag that Apple actually has, and I put it in. Well, I'm not gonna say where I put it because you never know who's watching, right? But I put it in the vehicle, and I said, okay, if it were to be taken, at least I would know where it's at. So I hooked it up to my phone. I was good to go. I said, okay, I'm fine. I slept well because I'm like, this thing works really well. Now, I keep it in the vehicle. Again, there's a certain battery time with these things, and I think you can replace them like yourself.
Okay.
But yeah. So that's what I like. But in a way, did the research. I'm like, but how would they know if you're tracking them? And it does do this little beep, 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 beep. If it's out of the vicinity for some time, if you put it in a place where you can't see it, or rather hear it, then you're fine. But again, that's to track my own vehicle, right? So I would say to the police, hey, it's there. You know what I mean? Versus a lot of things that disappear. And I think, if anything, it's like the low check of, like, for yourself, rather than calling up the company and saying, hey, can you track my vehicle? In a way, it's like a quick, fast thing, right? I've been like, and I hate to say this, but I've had my phone stolen. I didn't have the Find My Phone feature enabled, which I now have for every phone I'm ever going to get now, because I never thought I'd be mugged and stolen from, like, at McDonald's. You know what I mean? It's bad over here, man. You got to be careful. So my point is this, like, I see the potential of it, and I love it. Then I see the other side of it, where you have someone that slips it in. It's kind of like an investigator, right? Like, you want to track somebody and you want to, view them from afar. They're always going to have that, right? They have this device. I think I saw it on a film where the SWAT team shot this thing. It was like a magnet and attached to the vehicle so that they could track it. And I'm like, oh, that's what it is. You know what I mean? So it's that spot on. And then they have little magnets that you could attach to these things, and sometimes they have like a little magnet side to it. But you attach that, now you can track the vehicle almost like to the address, right? To where it's even to the room. That's how specific it is, which is why I say I like it, I love it, I want it. I just say you got to be careful. Now, on the flip side of that, I have it tracking the vehicle, right? But it notified my mom. So I know some people are like, what? I go, okay. But it notified my mom on her phone. It said someone's using trackable, right? And I'm like, oh, Ma, that's me tracking me. You know what I mean? But if you're in the vicinity and it kind of lets you know, hey, you're being tracked. In other words, like, Apple doesn't want to be responsible for that. So it used to be, I think, beyond 24 hours. I think 36 hours. Now it's moved to like 8 hours. I don't know if they've moved it up. But so people that are like afraid of that, I say this: just don't do anything wrong. But then I'm afraid for the person that, like, maybe she's hot, or maybe the guy has a girlfriend who wants to follow him all the time and always know where he's at. Are you going to cheat on me? So in that way, it's like, okay, like I say, it's bound to happen. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, and keep in mind the way these things work. They're not they're really not standalone devices that can be tracked. Just for people to understand, this goes for Tile and AirTag. They rely on the network. So if you put an AirTag out in the middle of the desert and no one was around, and you got it out there and it wasn't near an Apple device, it only knows its last location while it was near Apple devices, any Apple device. So it only knows the location based on it being able to bounce off that network. Tile's the same way. Tile, if I leave my Tile, my keys that have a Tile on them out in the community at a store, anybody who goes by there and spends a little bit of time near my keys, maybe they're on the floor, that has Tile or the Tile app, that will then communicate with my Tile to just update me with the location. It doesn't tell them, but it gives me that location. So it still needs the network. So that's why it's able to tell, for your example, your mom who has an Apple device, hey, there's an AirTag that's traveling with you, to alert her somebody else has an AirTag traveling with you. Um, that's the safety mechanism they're putting in place. So, but it relies on that network. It's just so people understand how that works, and that's why this example, this product, being that it's not technically an Apple product, but it works with Apple, is a big deal because they are immediately in the Apple ecosystem, and there's so many Apple iPhones and iPads out there that your item has a chance to bounce off of if it's lost, especially in a metro area where there's a dense population. You're going to be able to pinpoint that location remarkably well. It's amazing.
Well, I'm going to throw something out there. Again, back to use, okay? Back to my phone, which was stolen. I would love to have had to track that guy down and get him locked up, okay? I did a police report. Nothing happened, right? But there's one here that says it could like attach to your luggage. And I thought, oh, my God, in the whole recent debacle of, like, all these places that, like, the whole Southwest thing, a lot of people lost their luggage. It's all over town. I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
see, I would be like, okay, you have my luggage there because if it, you know what I mean? Like, I love that. So I say get it. Use it for the right means. You'll be fine. There's always going to be someone that uses it for the wrong means. But I say, you know what? Just be aware. There's people out there that when you go to the mall, they take a sledgehammer and you never know what's going to happen. So be careful. Put it on your kid because you never know when someone's going to kidnap your kid in the car. You know what I mean? Like, there are uses for this for your fam is what I'm saying. You know what I mean? And as long as you're not cheating, you're good to go because I guarantee the wife's going to figure it out, right?
That's right. That's right. Yeah. No, I think they're a great product.
Yeah, so there you go. All right, and last but not least, before we let you go, there's a product which I know a lot of people, we used to live in the day. I remember being one of the first adopters, and this is weird saying this, of webcam, right? Now everybody is opinion webcam because of coronavirus. Everybody, it was a game changer in a way because of coronavirus, because now everybody knew what Zoom was, everybody know what, web conferencing or teleconferencing or all these things that business used to use. But now there are new devices that make you look really cool, right? Because now people are like, oh, I need to be lit up. Oh, I look dark. Now the webcam, I remember getting a very basic webcam, right? 3 something. And then it went up to 1080. But now they have 2K technology. What's this?
Yeah, so Anchor Anchor is a reputable brand. They have a nice product for anyone looking for that aftermarket camera for their device to do Zoom and or gaming or whatever they do. But it's a 4-in-1 thing. So it's got the camera, the mic, the speaker, and a bar light. It's not going to replace, say, a good ring light and that kind of thing for your lighting, but it's going to improve your lighting situation. And then it has all the pieces embedded. So depending what your setup is, this might be a nice 4-in-1 designed product to just improve your video conferencing. Even though we're all Zooming and we're all, doing all this all the time, there's still plenty of people with really bad backlighting or setups for their image on camera. And it's how we're doing business now. And so even though things have become more casual in a sense because people aren't going into the office as much, still having a good, well-lit, a good not pixelated camera, that kind of thing, it matters with keeping up good quality communication. So products like this can really help you up your game if you're not in the market to buy a whole new laptop system or whatever. This can be a good add-on to improve your video conferencing.
Yeah, and I'm looking at it, and it's a little pricey for a cam like this. I'm not gonna lie, right? Anything over like $100 for me is a little pricey. You got to prove to me why it's good, but it has a couple features on this, and I like it. Like this one, it says when all eyes are on you, show up for every meeting, looking your best in 2K resolution, which is high definition, is times the amount like a 1080, right? So it could zoom in really good, but it has like face tracking. It looks like it says stay the center of your camera's attention with solo frame. So if you move around, it moves around with you a little, not a lot. It doesn't like follow you around the room. Although I love cameras that do that. And then the lighting part, it's good if you're in a room that's dark. So that's good. We probably should get one for Jesse over at the station. But in a way, it allows for everyone to be able to be safe at home and or on location as long as you have good internet. I will say this though, for people that have like internet issue, if you have an internet issue, this type of camera you got to scale down, because anything over a certain amount of resolution, you're gonna have problems. If you have like we sometimes have problems at the station because we have only so much like bandwidth, you know what I mean? So I will say, you know, you gotta be careful of that. But if you want to record something or a tutorial or something to train someone, this is the perfect thing to get, not just your employee, yourself, and or your family, because, you know, until they get to, and I think some cameras are 4K as well, but this has like a cool speaker thing, so it doesn't use, I think, your speaker in your, you know what I mean? So it's got some uses. I want to know if it's available for the iPad, because I think if it is, then it'll go next level. But right now, this is for desktop, right?
Yeah, I think largely for desktop or laptop, you could attach, you know, to the device. But yeah, I agree. If it works with other mobile devices, that'd be great to be kind of on the go. But you're absolutely right about bandwidth. You know, they pack a lot into products like this, so you got to make sure you have the internet connectivity to handle that resolution and everything going on there. But you know, it does the mic and the speakers, so kind of a handy all-in-one device for the right setting.
All right, I'm excited for where we're going with that. I have a 360 camera. I wish they have like the app that looks like it's ready. It's J5 Create, something like that. Shout out to J5 Create. We gotta have them on the show. But it's a 360 camera, and you know, I told Jess like I want to play a card game because he could be in front of me. I already tested with my mom, but it doesn't connect to the iPad, so you have to connect it to a laptop. But if you don't have your laptop with you, or if you have an iPad, I'm like, okay, why not with the iPad? And I think they have a device that could connect to it, because I almost had it turn on, and I'm like, okay, they didn't go all the way with that. So I'm ready for that. But it's 360, meaning you could get everyone in the room on both sides of it, kind of like those old speakerphones, but it works better than a speakerphone because you can see everyone in the room opposite of the table. So like you and the person in front of you could see. So I'm like, do it as a card game and then show people this is how no one's done it yet. It's kind of like poker imagine. So I told him, let's play, you know, a card game with that. But anyway, there's some cool technology. I can't wait for it. I know it's going next level. So good job being on the cusp of it. And thank you for that robotics thing. I think you should be like a thought leader in the future, okay? Because you talk really smart about it.
I love it. I love that. No, that's the stuff we're going for. It's fun to research, and especially if it can have an impact on people.
Yeah, exactly. And the part where it helps people, the healthcare community, they really need this, because in hospitals, I think that device to Labrador would do really well for a nurse that follows them around, right? And I think that's where it's at. And that's where it always goes, right? You think of like Darth Vader, and you think, you know, wah, 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 you know, like the little one at the end, which helps the little Luke Skywalker come into, you know what I mean? Like helps the mom when she's like, you know what I mean? They could be on location, like ambulance and everything, you know, and that's where we're going. I know we're going that way. So there's a lot of life-saving things that robots could do, and I'm ready for that. Anyway, thank you, Joel, for spending time with us. I know we went a little long on this, but it's the last show of the year, so congratulations on everything. I know you're making a little trip here to California. Can't wait. We'll see you on the other side of 2022.
Sounds great. Looking forward to it. Thanks for having me.
All right. More right after this. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Here's to your health with Joshua Lane. Ideas you can use to be healthy and stay healthy. The current thinking about beauty, fitness, and longevity. Every Tuesday and Wednesday morning at 9 a.m. Wellness talk you can use. Here's to your health with Joshua Lane on KMET, naturally.
Take KMET 1490 AM with you everywhere you go by downloading our free smartphone apps found on the KMET website, KMET1490am.com. You can also go to the Google Play Store or the Apple App Store on your phone to download the free app. Now you can listen live or play any of your favorite programmers' podcasts using your smartphone. Go to KMET1490am.com and download your free phone app today.
The Holiday Inn Express and Suites in Banning is distinctively suited for your travel time out of the car. Off the road, you'll find a courteous, welcoming staff in spacious rooms with desks, flat-screen HD TVs, and comfortable furnishings. Enjoy the complimentary breakfast buffet, high-speed internet, and fitness center and pool. The Holiday Inn Express and Suites in Banning, conveniently located off the I-10 near golf, gaming, and entertainment. For reservations and information, call 951-572-5500. That's 951-572-5500, or go online at hiebanning.com.
Tired of waiting in line for overpriced coffees and packaged rolls? Make a change and stop for coffee or espresso and a fresh homemade apple fritter or ham and cheese croissant at Donut Delight on Highland Springs Road in Banning, just off the I-10 freeway. Donut Delight is a family-owned business with a friendly staff who has served the past area for 22 years. Donut Delight on the corner of Highland Springs Road and Ramsey Street, just off the I-10 freeway. Donut Delight opens daily at 4:30 a.m.
Do you owe $10,000 or more to the IRS or state? Did you miss sending out a prior year tax return? The IRS is out to collect now more than ever, and they'll use any means necessary. They legally can and will garnish your wages, take your money, and even seize your property. If you're behind on your taxes, call the Tax Relief Hotline right now at 951-224-9000. That's 951-224-9000. 951-224-9000. You can legally get your tax debt under control, and in many cases, get the breathing room you need. Garnished wages, property seizures, bank levies can stop immediately, but you have to call. Many of our specialists are IRS enrolled agents. They know the system and how to make it work for you. Don't wait for the IRS to come down on you. Act now so you can get your tax debt under control. Call the Riverside office today for free info at 951-224-9000. That's 951-224-9000. 951-224-9000.
That's right. It's the morning show here on ABC News Radio, KMET 1490 AM. We got Jess over there. What's going on, Jess?
Oh my God. So I'm listening to you and Joel talk about all these things, and I'm just thinking, how can I abuse these things?
Of
no,
course.
No, like the Labrador thing. I'm just like, I'm thinking serving droid. And no, I'll just have it follow me with like a bucket of ice and drinks and snacks and stuff.
Serving droid, I like that. Well, that's where we're going. When you think of like R2D2 and you think of those like, you kind of, like they band together at some point. Our like C3PO and R2D2, they get on each other's nerve, but at the end of the day, that's all they got. You know what I mean? I saw a movie recently on Netflix on this. And then I saw another one. It was a little dark. I didn't like that one. But it's like, when you think of these things, it's like we're so early on that I say this: don't mistreat them. Okay, there are movies about how they mistreat them eventually, and they have like robot wars and all that. It's one thing when they go at each other like electronics. Like these kids are putting electronics together. It's pretty cool. And I remember the show, they have this robot go against this robot. But when they're like a form of consciousness, everybody's talking AI, right? But in a way, it's not AI. When you can ask a question and it has an independent thought, or it asks you a question and it really goes, and it's really thinking, that's AI, okay? It's like a thinking person, right? A thinking person can be immobile, but still be alive. It's a different form of alive. That's where people have to kind of think, okay, like you can't put it like some go, oh, it's like a tin can or it's a bucket. No. At some point, that's where we're going. That's where they're going with technology, okay? Now, back to the things that you and I know. Like, we know, and again, I sound like one of these people where they go, it's not a thing. I go, oh man, you have not seen robotics right now. Honda just, like, huge player in robotics, okay? They can mass produce these. Now, I always go to the extreme of war, because if you can have a bot fight for you, why would you not? Unless you're on the side where they invade. Like, if Russia wanted a robot army, they band together with Korea, oh, they already have, and China, and they mass produce a bunch of robots to invade the U.S. Could they? The answer, yes. It's not that far off. So I always say, okay, then you have have your EMP thing ready to go to turn them, like, you know what I mean? So that you could, that's where human kind of like go next level. But at the end of the day, if they, that's what you want. But then they reboot, you go, woo, and then they shoot you all, and then you die. You know what I mean? So I always go to that because it's like that's where we're going, and in a way we're almost there. Will we get there soon? At the rate that we're going, probably yes, in the next few years. Okay. Some people think, oh, that's 100 years in the future. No, it starts and then they obliterate, and then people go, okay, maybe we should scale back. Yeah. Because if you have a manufacturing facility that can produce a Hummer and you put a gun on it, obviously with the Army guy, he's going to take people out. So you have protocol of like, thank God for a certain government that don't go next level, but there's certain places like Afghanistan, Taliban, they would go, yeah, I want to get my hands on that. You know what I mean? Now you're like, okay, we got to protect from that. So it doesn't stop. It's the beginning of the future. That's why a lot of these movies and, thought leaders about the subject say, look, even Elon said, dude, we're like almost going to die by 2030, I think is what he said. Or, it's some say 2050, 2080, because at the rate that we're going, nuclear bomb is already being talked about. Who stops that from happening? So I say, you know what? I hope an alien species invades, because then we'll band together and we'll say, oh, we should be on the same page, not against each other. Let's not kill each other. We have one planet. You know what I mean? So I say that. But anyway, that's my thought. What do you think, Jess?
Yeah. As long as my toaster doesn't try and attack me, I'm cool. I mean, I'm not trying to abuse my toaster.
And back to that. I don't want to say don't get these things, because I see the use of them. I never saw them till now, to be honest. In the last couple months, I go, okay, there's something about this. I got to do some research. I did research. I said, oh my God, we're already here. When you go look at like movies like okay, Minority Report, a lot of robotics in the back. Spielberg loves robotics, right? What was it? The Boy, right? Artificial intelligence with The Boy. He bands together with a bunch of robots. Then there's Robot like Central of like, hey, what do you know, Joe? You know what I mean? Like there's robots that provide services for the lady, but then one gets framed for like murder. You know what I mean? And then he has to run, and then they're like, oh, we got to lock you up. So there's a lot of things that could be pinned on a robot, right? All you have to do is hack it, send it out. If you have like, somebody that you hate, boom, it kills them, and then you go scot-free. So there's that mentality out there, right? All these things exist, so I say, okay, be aware of it, and then hope that you, like, so I don't know, like, I think Blade Runner, I saw Blade Runner, the second one, recently, and I thought, okay, and he's alone in there, but in a way, it's like, is he Android? That's where we're going. People at some point, that's why I say, don't do it, just don't do it, step away from it. At some point, people say, I want to live forever, and I want my consciousness to be uploaded, to this. But I go, but it's a copy of you. It's not you. You know what I mean? So that copy robot could eventually say, Jess, I don't like you anymore. Bye. Because you want to turn me off. So you got to be careful of those things. Just as like, it would never do that to me. What if it does? It's like, I want to be the only one because somebody puts a virus in its mind. And now it says, only I can exist, not you. But it has all your thoughts and memories. Which is weird to say. We're not there yet. That is still in the future. But at the rate that they're going back to like, DNA, back to clone, back to all these things. That's why these, in a way, a lot of these films and these stories, which I never used to pay attention to. I used to pay attention to, like, I'd watch them and go, okay. But now I go, oh, these people knew something was coming, so it's almost like a warning ahead of time. Kind of like Jurassic Park with who thought they were going to, reenact a woolly mammoth out of nowhere because they can. You know what I mean? These things, and they're talking like, oh, it's not a problem. And they go, oh, that's a movie. It's not real. I say, what happens when it is real? So we have all these things conjoining together, right, on a Earth. Like, put it out to Mars, do that. But then they'll probably invade you like in thousands of years, but at least you're ahead of it from there. I saw recently, and I felt so sorry for it. I felt so sorry. There was this robot, and some people go, why do you feel sorry for robots? I go, if you don't feel sorry for anything, then you have no conscious mind. You know what I mean? But there was this robot on Mars. I don't know if you saw it, but it said this. It said it tweeted out before it powered down. It tweeted out, "Thank you for being with me in these final moments." And I'm like, is that alive? What's going on? Like I'm thinking, like if I were on some distant planet, right? I'll give you an example. People think like Adam and Eve. Okay, let's just throw this out there. Adam and Eve were the first creation of anything, right? An angel, much higher, right? So people think like, oh, it's not real creation. It's alien taking advantage of what they can, right? Making a new species. There's a lot of movies on the subject. There's Alien, there's Prometheus, there's all that, right? Where are we from? right? Are we a lesser being of what is more intelligent of us that could create us? So in a way, if you view that and you go, okay, we're the developed version of what we once were at some point, because we have more knowledge, we have more thought, we have more thing. Don't dumb down robot, because in a way, robot is at the infancy of what it is eventually. The question is, are we always going to create robot? Was that always in our future? Or is that something that we, you know what I mean? But I think these films and these movies are there for a reason. Like Star Wars. Nobody thinks about the robot wars, the clone wars, but we're there, man. You know, maybe in like 100 years in the future, you know, where some people go, I'm not going to live to see it, but the kids that you're having right now, or the kids that you like, maybe you're an uncle or your aunt, you know, those kids are going to see it. So what are you leaving for the future is what I'm saying, you know? And then when you're angel, right, if that's even a thing, back to consciousness, is consciousness able to live beyond the body? Some would say yes. And some would say, well, you know, you don't know what I experience in my home. You know, I have things move, you know, from an invisible realm of influence, you know, called, you know, another dimension in space and time. So there's that, you know, there's a lot of like, you know, investigation on that, and there's proof there. So I'm like, you know, but I always say to the people in the room that believe in the Bible, well, it's been there the whole time. Invisible realm has always been there in every single like verse. It's just like, what do you attribute to? Do you attribute to evil? Do you attribute to good? Is there? Yes. If you see people take sledgehammers at people's heads, yes. Now they have robots in San Francisco, Jess, you reported on, which you get where I'm going with this, Jess?
Oh yeah. Giving weapons to machines is just like, I always wonder, like, why don't they just make like little spider robots with like bombs attached to it, and then someone controls it, the spider bot latches onto someone and explodes.
And there's Jess in the room saying, I'm going to do this to y'all. If you don't be the enemy of Jess, man. He's already got it. That's my point. You see, people go, no, it's not going to go there. Just went there. So that's my point. Anyway, all right, people. Well, we're out of time. Look, it's at the end of the year. There's a lot of things happening in 2023. I know we can look forward to it. Stay safe. If we're here for 2020, okay, you're already halfway there is what I'll say. I'll say even 3/4 there, depending on the research that's done, okay? We're almost there. We're not there yet. But I theorize, and I could be wrong, by 2024, at the end of, we'll celebrate that coronavirus is no longer a thing. But be prepared for 2023 for it still to be a thing, 2024 to be a thing, and then at the end of 2024, maybe, worst case there, 2025 and 2026, will be through the worst of coronavirus. But there's still other things coming, other pestilences, so I say be aware. Anyway, Jess, we're out of time. Make it a great day, whatever you do. Remember, life is worth living. Live it well. Bye, everyone.